Everybody, and welcome back to Kat's Kitchen. Today we are going to be preparing our meal for Thanksgiving. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer video because it's going to be made over the course of about 3 days, because I'm just starting a few days in advance to just better prepare for it. And yeah, so what we're going to be doing is today, this is day one, we're going to be starting to make our mac and cheese and our stuffing. We're taking stuffing over to my brother's house tomorrow. Tomorrow's actually Thanksgiving Day, but we're going to be having, Mark and I are going to have our Thanksgiving meal probably on Friday. So that's why this is Wednesday, and I'm just preparing for both days. So we're making stuffing for my brother and for ourselves. And then today I'm also going to make some mac and cheese for us. I'm going to also marinate our turkey. And I might do a little bit more today. Let me get my menu real fast. Forgot. I'm gonna put mashed potatoes and gravy on here. Okay, so what we're gonna be having is our turkey, stuffing, mac and cheese, yams, green bean casserole, veggies of some sort, whether it be corn or mixed vegetables, and then mashed potatoes and gravy. So I had to write everything down to make sure that I had pans for everything and baking dishes and whatnot. So we are good to go. So right now, I've already started our water to boil for our macaroni, and it's starting to have a rolling boil right now. So it is ready to go. Now, since I'm really only making this, since I'm really only taking the extra stuffing over to my brother's house for the family tomorrow, that's all he needed me to make. The rest of this meal, like I said, Mark and I are going to enjoy this over the weekend. So I don't need to make a ton, a mass quantity of all these sides, which is kind of nice. I have a 2-pound bag here of macaroni, and I'm only going to make 1 pound. So I'm just going to put half in. And this water is salted. And then we'll just wrap this up and save it for next time. So we've got that in there, and then now I'm going to start on the marinade for the turkey. So I'm going to show you how we work that next. So this is just kind of like a video of hang out with me and prepare with me, and for Thanksgiving, or if you need inspiration on cooking for a crowd or anything else that you're doing this holiday season. So that's what we're getting into today. I hope you enjoy it, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys and your families, and just stay tuned for more. Okay, so here we are with our turkey. We were able to get this at Sam's Club for, let's see, it was $10.69. And so it was really, really nice. And this is a, let's see, young turkey, and no antibiotics, hormones, or steroids ever. So that's kind of what we've been really looking for in our food and our meat consumption. Trying to get rid of, all these hormones in the foods and everything. Just really trying not to vote with our dollars with that kind of food, because it's really not that good for you. And so what we're gonna do here, if you've never opened a turkey before, we just take that outer netting off, and then I'm just gonna take, these are my kitchen shears. I only use these shears for cooking purposes. I have other scissors that I use for other things. And then I can run these through the dishwasher and whatnot. So that's why if you get meat on them, I usually open up my meat with these scissors. That way it's just strictly food contact. Okay, and then what you're gonna do, just open up that top there. And then you're gonna get a little hook here, a little plastic hook. And if you hold on to it and just pull, and just pull up, and then just pull down on the bag. Sometimes it's tight, so you'll have to take your kitchen shears and just take a nice little slice through the middle. The blood and the water is going to drain out because all these turkeys are frozen. They come frozen, unless you're getting a really, really fresh one, if you're a hunter or whatnot, or if you know someone that is. So I'm going to drain that blood out in the sink. And then I'm going to put our turkey in our big bowl. Now, if you're brand new to cooking turkeys or even big chickens for an example, it's on the back here, it's going to have cooking instructions for you. So you don't have to be nervous about cooking. It'll tell you here, depending on the weight, that's how many hours you're going to be cooking it for. And I'm just going to look on the tag that we purchased and see how much weight this is. So this says it is, we'll round up, so it says 10.77, so we'll make that 11 pounds. So for 8 to 12 pounds, you cook for 3.5 to 4 hours at 325. Even gives you cooking instructions on here, even to roast the neck and the giblets. And the neck and the giblets are really good for making gravy. So that's one thing that we are going to keep. And they are stuffed down inside. So I'm just going to show you how we break this down. Also, whenever you cook it, there's this button here, this little red button, if you can see that. That will pop up whenever the internal temperature of the breast meat is cooked. So yeah, so we're just going to work with this, guys. What I'm going to do is cut this plastic off here. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get this plastic off because it's looped through. So just make sure you work at it. And we might have to take out the neck first. So this is your neck. I'm putting that in our bowl. You want to open up the inside where the guts are, well, where the underneath the breast meat, and you're going to pull out a little bag. It always comes with this. That's your giblets, and that's for your gravy making. Some people throw it away and they want to make their own gravy, or they want to do something else for gravy. That's fine. If you have animals like dogs or whatnot, they really like that. You can pan fry that up for them. All right. I'm just moving this plastic piece out. There it goes. You want to make sure you take that out. That's what they hang them on in the factory. And now we're ready to go. I'm just going to wash my hands again. And then I'm going to get all of the things that we need to prepare this turkey for our marinade. Our elbow macaroni is done. I'm just going to drain this. And then I'm going to rinse it with some cool water. Some people wonder why you rinse with cool water. I do that for any of my pastas for two reasons. It takes the starch off of the pasta, and it also stops the cooking process so that it doesn't overcook. Because we are going to have to cook the cheese in here as well. Cook it the rest of the way. Because of that, we're just gonna hit this with some water, cool water here, and then let it drain. All right, everybody, so what I did is I just grabbed a half a stick of butter and I pre-melted it for 30 seconds in the microwave. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start seasoning up this butter. This butter is gonna go in between the meat and the skin. So we're gonna separate the two, and this is where we're going to put all the seasoned butter in. We're starting with some garlic, parsley, onion, I'm going to do salt and pepper, and then I'm going to do a little bit of cayenne pepper just because I want a little bit of heat, but not really like a depth. I just want a depth of just some flavor with that. And then paprika. I always put paprika on my poultry. Just tastes so good. Sometimes I mean, I don't put it on all the time. It depends on what flavors I'm going for. And then we're going to just use some good old poultry seasoning. Now your poultry seasoning will have thyme, sage, rosemary, pepper, nutmeg, and marjoram. Okay. And then lastly to this, we're going to add some minced garlic. And you can kind of be heavy-handed with these seasonings. Because like I said, we have like an 11-pound turkey here. Most people are working with a lot more than that. If you have a smaller family and you just want to do turkey breast, they sell that too. So that's also an option for you. All right, so now we've got this. We're going to set this aside. We're going to mix that up in a minute. I'm going to come back over here to our turkey. I'm going to start with the back side here where the dark meat is. The back of the turkey. The breast is your front, and then the back side is on the opposite side of that. So some people leave this on, some people cut this off, this little tail part. I'm going to cut it off just because it's in my way. And I'm going to put that into where we're going to save that for making our gravy. So after you cut that part off, you're going to see where the skin will kind of start to open up like that. I have a very sharp paring knife here. And you want to do this with a nice sharp paring knife. And you're just going to come in here and start separating the skin from the meat. And if you give it a little tug, it should start to separate for you. And then you just need the knife to kind of glide along. I'm going to do this, and then I will show you what we're going to do next. I'm doing this on the front and the back. So on the breast side and the back side of our turkey. Because this is going to marinate it, plus the butter is going to help it from drying out. You can also use an injector if you have one of those. You can inject the meat. Anytime you're cooking something of this magnitude for hours and hours, it's good to marinate it and try to make sure that it's not going to dry out to the best of your ability. And just try to go as far down to the front as you possibly can. Okay. Flip it over, and we're going to do the front side. So right here, right where our drums are, you're going to see there's a separation of skin. You can start there, just pull it up tight. And then just start making your little slices with your sharp paring knife. And then it'll separate for you. People cook their turkeys so many different ways. Tell me how you guys like to cook your turkeys, or if you've ever made a turkey before. Some people I know have different things for Thanksgiving. Steak or chicken, or I mean, there's so many things to make. You don't need to make a turkey. But we do enjoy turkey here. Honestly, I would make it more often if it was more readily available. So the breast meat is very, very important to not have it dry out on you, because the dark meat's going to take a little bit longer because your breast meat is leaner. So we want to really make sure that we put a good bit of butter in on the top side for the breast meat. And I have some of my butter sitting out now so it can start to get room temperature. And really all I wanted to do is get soft enough to where it's like a paste so that I can just kind of smear it inside here. Next, if you have a basting brush, you can use that. If you have a basting brush, you can use that. I'm just going to mix up our butter, seasoned butter and garlic mixture here. And we're going to distribute this on the front and the back side of the turkey. And we should just be able to pull up the skin and pour it in. I'm going to just distribute about half on the front, half on the back. And then I'm gonna smooth it out with our basting brush once we get going here. Now we create a little flavor pocket, I like to call it. And move that around. And like I said, once our butter gets softened on the counter, I'm gonna add in butter before we bake it. But this is just gonna marinate, so we're not baking it at all today. We're just trying to season the inside like we're doing now, and then the outside we're also gonna season. Then I just take my basting brush and I just kind of move it on in through that pocket that we made, that butter and that seasoning, and it's easy as that. It's really easy. And we're just gonna do that on the other side. Just move that seasoning all around. Perfect. Alrighty. Now, I'm just gonna drain this out a little bit, and then we're gonna go to seasoning the front and the back side. All right, everyone, so now we are seasoning the outside of our turkey, not our chicken. We're hitting it with some garlic powder. Make sure you get in between where the wings are and the legs. This is the largest pan I have, so it just fits in here. And we're gonna do some parsley. Basically gonna put all the same seasonings that I put inside underneath the skin on top as well. There's so many different recipes for how to make a turkey and whatnot. So really just gotta find one that you like. I'm gonna flip this over, because when you start cooking, you actually want to cook with the dark meat up, because that's what takes the longest for a turkey. That'll help so that and what'll happen is as the cooking is commencing, the fat will seep down to the bottom and it'll soak into your white meat, which will help keep it moist. So you always want to cook the side that takes the longest up top for all the heat to get into it first. Just going to continue all the same seasonings on this side. Working with one clean hand for touching the spices and one dirty hand for touching the turkey. Unfortunately, this does make a mess. I was trying to do it over my sink, but it just was not working out for me. It's nice to be able to prepare this stuff a day or two in advance. That way, the day of all the cooking, it's not as much work. Okay, there we go. We are all ready to go. And you can do this a few different ways. You can do melted butter, put it on there. You can do olive oil, whatever you like. I'm just seasoning it for right now, just to get the seasoning part done. I'm gonna come back and add the fats, like I mentioned, once my butter is softened. And then we'll just do pads of butter all over. Now what you can do is inside the cavity on this end here, You can do different things. You can stuff the turkey, you can season it up some more, you can do garlic and some lemons, like whole lemons, you can put in there, however you want your chicken to be flavored. So really the options are endless whenever you're talking about poultry. All right, everybody, so now we're gonna make a cheese sauce for our mac and cheese. I have here in our pot, the same pot we cooked the noodles in, about 3 cups of smoked Gouda. I'm gonna turn this on low. And then I have some Velveeta here. I bought them this time in these little cubes, these little cute little rectangles. That way I don't have to open up a whole large package of it if I'm not gonna use it all. So I'm just gonna start off with 2 of these and we'll see if we need more. And so when you're making mac and cheese, you need melting cheese and then you need flavoring cheese. So your melting cheeses would be Velveeta, mozzarella, cream cheese, something that's soft that can melt really easily. And then obviously your flavoring cheeses could be anything from like a smoked Gouda that we're using to Parmesan. Let's see here, any kind of the hard cheeses really. So like your hard cheeses have a little bit more flavor because they're usually aged a little bit more. And then your softer cheeses are aged less, but they're better for melting, if that makes sense. So you can really come up with any kind of combination of mac and cheese that you desire to. So what we're doing is I have it on like medium low right now. We want this to slowly melt. I'm gonna add in now some milk and some butter, and that's gonna start our sauce. Okay. This smoked Gouda is really, really nice. We got this at Sam's Club for a really good price. I'm just gonna start here with about 3/4 of a cup of our milk. I'm just using 2% organic. And then I'm gonna add in some couple knobs of butter here. And I am gonna be putting some pepper in here. I'm gonna do that right now. If you have white pepper, you can certainly do that if you don't wanna see the black pepper. However, I'm not gonna put any salt in here until the very last probably minute that we're actually mixing it with the noodles and seasoning everything up together, just because of all the cheeses that we're putting in. I don't wanna accidentally make it too salty for us. So this is what we're looking at now. Okay, we're just gonna let this slowly melt and come together. And like I said, I only need to make enough for the 1 pound of macaroni that we have. All right, everybody, so next what we're gonna do is work on our stuffing. So I'll show you what I have going on here. So I just have some celery that I'm chopping up. I'm also going to chop up and dice some onion. And then I'm gonna put it in my big skillet here with some butter. I'm gonna saute them up till they're nice and soft. Then I'm gonna add some garlic. And then over here, I have some Italian loaves that I had cut open last night so that they could get a little bit crusty, kind of like croutons. We're gonna dice this up and then we're gonna mix everything together with some egg, poultry season, salt and pepper. And yeah, and then I think that's about it there. And then we're just gonna put it in our baking dish. And then the day of, we're gonna bake that as well. So wrap that up, put it in the fridge. So my battery's about to die and I have to charge it up and then I'll show you guys the remainder of the dishes. But our cheese sauce back here is slowly coming together. Alrighty, just slowly coming together. That's what you want it to do, just slowly melt. I moved it over to medium and I will see you guys back here shortly. Everybody, so I just wanted to show you our Gouda and Velveeta mac and cheese. It turned out super yummy. It was 3 cups of Gouda to 2 of these. I think these are about, I want to say maybe 4 ounces of Velveeta cheese. They're the little ones. They come individually wrapped. I used 2 of those. I used probably about 4 to 6 tablespoons of butter and about 1 1/4 cup of milk, and then some pepper and just a pinch of salt. And oh my gosh, it's wonderful. I have it here and I have one of these lids for my pan, so whenever I'm ready to bake this, I can just throw it in the oven and warm it up. You can even do a little crust over top of it if you'd like. Then I have my mashed potatoes. My potatoes already in my water for the mashed potatoes. So they're just boiling right now. And I always salt my water, so make sure you do that. Next over here, we are working on the stuffing. And I had so much stuffing because I'm making some for my brother and for us both that I had to put it in 2 different bowls. So I'm going to show you what we got here. We have in here already the celery, onions, and garlic that we sauteed. I have it distributed in both of these bowls. And then I have 2 loaves of bread within both of these bowls right now. So now we're just going to give it a little mix and season it. And I'm going to show you how we season it. Okay, so for seasoning our stuffing or dressing, depending on how you call it, I'm going to start with some Italian seasoning. I'm going to do some minced onion, garlic, some parsley, use some of that poultry seasoning. That's what's really going to make it nice and tasty. A little bit of paprika. And then some salt and pepper. Everyone usually always loves stuffing, so I have no problem making a lot of it. Like I said, this is 2 loaves of Italian bread here. And then I'm just going to season up my other bowl the exact same way. And then we're going to add in some eggs to this before we mix it up. Okay, so we're going to start off, I'm going to start off with 2 eggs for this bowl and see if I need any more. And we're probably going to need a good 1/2 to a whole stick of butter for these 2 loaves here that we have. Okay. So I'm just going to break those yolks up and then we're just going to start mixing. In the meantime, what I want to do is go grab that butter that I have. I have here like a 3, it's about 2/3 of a stick. So I'm just going to pop this in a little bowl and melt this for us. Okay, so I just added 2 more eggs to this because it's pretty big. So we have 4 eggs total. I added about half of that butter. And then now I'm going to add some chicken broth to it. I'm just trying to get it together right now and get it to combine nicely without being too dry. Because the last thing we want is dry stuffing. Now, we're not going to bake this today. We're going to bake this one for my brother for tomorrow. So I'm just going to get the mixture nice. And then tomorrow morning, whenever I go to bake this for him, I'm going to see, it probably will need a little bit more chicken broth. So I'll put that over top of it, mix it up right before I'm ready to bake it. So right now we're just looking for a nice combination wet mixture like that. And I'm going to keep adding my bread. So like I said, that was it was taking over the bowl. But once you start adding in your wet ingredients, your bread will start to shrink up a little bit because it will start soaking up everything, which is good. Okay. And since I'm adding more bread in, I need to add in more seasonings as well. Don't forget about that. want all of your pieces of bread to be damp. You don't want to see any dry pieces. And this is going to crisp up in the oven, so don't worry about it being like too soggy. But like I said, right now what I'm doing is just combining everything to where it's coated, all the bread. And then tomorrow we're going to double check the wet, make sure it has enough moisture before we bake it. And then it'll crisp up in the oven for us. Okay, so I'm pretty pleased with this bowl. It's smelling really, really good. So you're gonna have something like that. I'm gonna transfer this over to our baking dish and just wrap it up. And since this is not hot at all, we let the celery and the onions cool down before we mixed everything in and the garlic. So this is ready to go as soon as I put it in my pan, and I can wrap it up, put it in the fridge, and then we'll bake it tomorrow. All right, everybody, so we are back here. This is the next day when we're actually going to be eating our turkey dinner. So I already put our marinated turkey in the oven. It has been cooking now 325 for about 4.5 hours. And I did all the seasonings that you saw me do. And the only thing I did differently was I added that melted butter to it that I told you about on all sides. Now I'm just preparing our green bean casserole as the beans go everywhere. And I just have 2 cans of green beans and 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. So we're just gonna add these together in my baking dish here. And then I'm gonna season this up. And then we're just gonna bake this. Because I prepared all the other side dishes the other day, that really is gonna make today, the day of, really, really easy for me, which is nice. Because then I'm able to relax a lot more. And what I did is once I prepared those other side dishes, I already put them in my containers, my storage containers. So that way I was able to get those, everything washed up. So that way today, on the day of the big dinner, I'm not having to wash up a lot of stuff either, which is always very nice. So just doing a 1-to-1 ratio here. Let's see here with our green beans to our cream of mushroom soup. Give it a little mix. And then I've got some French fried onions for the top. It's always a classic. You can do this in the crock pot if you'd like. But what I'm going to be showing you here, a little sneak peek for our next videos, is I'm actually preparing to clean out our freezers because we're going to be getting this is right after Thanksgiving. This is actually Black Friday. We went over to my brother's house yesterday for Thanksgiving with the family. And then today I'm making, Thanksgiving for Mark and I so that we can have some nice leftovers and then we can cook up some nice freezer meals. To this green bean casserole, I'm going to add some salt and pepper. We're just going to sprinkle these on top. And then I used a little bit of these the other day. But I'm just going to go ahead and use the rest of this can on here. These are always good on a lot of recipes, which is nice. Nice to have around. So we'll just spread that out. And then now we're going to bake this at 325 for probably about a half hour, 40 minutes. And then it's all going to be good. And then I'm going to show you what our turkey looks like too. So I just took it out of our oven. You can see here, get that foil out of there. I just put the foil on just to keep it nice and warm. So this is the breast meat here because the button is up here that you'll get whenever the internal temperature has reached its desired temperature. That button will pop up for you. So it was facing down first. I cooked it with the meat, the dark meat side up for about half the time, maybe 3/4 of the time, and then I flipped it over and did it the rest of the way here. I just kept basting it. My baster actually broke, so I've just been using a little measuring cup and just dipping in and pouring over it to baste it. So basically achieving the same thing there. So this is now resting, and this is going to be ready to eat. And I mean, roughly about 20 minutes, this will be ready. Pop the foil back on. That way when we're ready to eat, it'll be good. And then I'll make some gravy as well. So a little sneak peek into some of the food preservation is we get a half a cow every year. And so these are a bunch of soup bones that came with our half a cow. I have a big pot here. This is one of my biggest pots I have outside of my canner. And then I have my big crock pot here that is all filled up. I just have some whole garlic in there right now with some water and all these soup bones. And right now I'm just trying to get it up to a boil, and then I'm just gonna let it cook for a long time. So this is gonna be part of our food preservation, probably in tomorrow's video. I'm gonna go into more depth about it, but what we're doing is we're basically cooking down all these beef bones in order to make broth, and then we're gonna can the broth so that we can have nice beef broth on hand for us. A lot of people don't think about using this. Whenever you either order a cow or even in the store, you can still get beef bones, probably fairly cheap, because a lot of people don't, you know, think to use it maybe. But there's actually a lot of meat still on here. So that's what's gonna give our beef broth some really amazing flavor. Much better than buying it in the store. So that's about it for the Thanksgiving dinner. I did make the sweet potatoes the other day, and I put a little bit of bourbon and brown sugar in them. So I will definitely put that in the description box down below of what I used. It was 2 cans of yams, probably about 1/8 of a cup of brown sugar, and probably about a 1/4 cup of bourbon of your choice. And it was so good. Between 1/8 to a 1/4 cup, depending on how much you like. And just let it cook down a little bit, cook out, and then it leaves you with a really nice flavor. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.